Bruce Barrymore Halpenny, born 1937 in Caistor, Lincolnshire, is an English military historian and author, specialising in airfields and aircraft, as well as ghost stories and mysteries. He is also a broadcaster and games inventor. Parents: Halpenny's father was a Canadian First World War soldier who fought at Vimy Ridge, and his mother a British First World War munitions worker from Lincolnshire. Bruce is from Lincolnshire, England. Military career: Halpenny served in the Royal Air Force Police, RAFP, in specialist units, often overseas, but after being wounded, and instead of coming out of the RAF, he moved across to the RAF Police on special security duties, atomic and chemical weapons, and was part of a special RAF military police unit on special duties and in the nuclear division, that was responsible for the protection of the nuclear weapons that the V-bombers were to use in time of war. Literary career: in the 1950s, whilst in the Royal Air Force, he was wounded and had to undergo several operations, in which his life was in the balance as dedicated surgeons fought to not only save his hand and arm, but also his life. In rehabilitation, he started writing and research as a hobby, and though he stayed in the RAF and was to serve on special duties and in the nuclear division, his hobby turned into a profession in later years after leaving the forces. Early years: in the early period of his writing career, he started out by writing love stories and cowboy stories for the American market under pen names. Then, because of his specialist knowledge of the Royal Air Force, he focused on military history, especially RAF history of World War II, often with deep insights, facts, and personal human interest stories. At one time, he was writing articles for up to 14 military journals around the world, when he was approached by the publishers Patrick Stevens to do the airfield books due to his vast knowledge and authority. Military history: when he researched the British RAF airfield histories, particularly those of London, Yorkshire, and Lincolnshire, Halpenny found that public records held very little, if any, information at all, so he had to do all the research himself going back to the very beginning. This helped to unearth a rich source of information, which others have since used, but set Bruce Halpenny as an undisputed RAF expert. For his research on the airfields, Halpenny interviewed 1,400 people, researched records and letters, and travelled thousands of miles. Such was Halpenny's dedication to the history of the airfields that he visited each and every airfield, some of which he had prior knowledge of from his military days, to ensure accuracy. His books quickly became essential reference books for all aviation historians. Virtually all of the information was new, in the sense that it hadn't appeared in the dozens of books which had been written about the RAF. New too were the many photographs that were just a selection of the thousands he collected and commissioned. Such were his photographs and uniqueness, and the way that he used them, that in the opening chapters of his book Action Stations 2 Wartime Military Airfields of Lincolnshire and the East Midlands, were a selection of control tower photos. This was the first time this had been done in any book. He has also written various military-themed books from such as English Electrical/BAC Lightning to wartime poems. The aircraft he has specialised in are the British jets, English Electric Lightning, English Electric Canberra and Avro Vulcan. Ghosts and mysteries: Halpenny had been writing ghost stories in the 1960s, and encountering ghost stories in his exhaustive research into airfield histories, when in 1984 he decided they should form the subject of a special book, and so started to add to, and research his ghost mystery files about abandoned airfields that murmur and whisper with ghosts. Bruce Halpenny had by 1984 become acknowledged as not only a respected British military historian, expert in airfield histories, but also the expert in RAF ghosts, especially surrounding airfields. Ghost Stations was born, and in 1986 the first book was published, and proved a bestseller as it recounts how headless airmen and other specters have appeared in control towers and other service buildings throughout the country. Such was demand that a second book entitled, Arg, was published with over 30 stories, one of which was The Eerie Mystery of Lightning 894. Arg was later to become Ghost Stations 2, as more books later followed over the years, and became the cult series of Ghost Stations books. Halpenny's unique knowledge and position means he is also known for accessing and finding information generally closed to the general public and media, especially Ministry of Defense, MOD, material concerning UFOs. Halpenny has always maintained that all airfields are haunted. Over the years, he had uncovered a wealth of material about ghostly experiences on wartime airfields. The evidence of ghosts keeps popping up and is so rich that it cannot be ignored, he said, and he has little doubt why airfields are such a magnet for ghosts. You have to remember that 55,000 men of Bomber Command died while operating from Britain in World War II, and almost all of them met a violent end, so it isn't surprising that dozens of earthbound spirits have been left behind. Games inventor. Halpenny is also a games inventor, and created the Great Train Robbery board game in the 1970s. It was used as a prize on shows such as Tazwaz and Crackerjack. Charities, causes, and animal rights. Halpenny has always been vocal in his campaigns for numerous organizations and causes, especially concerning veterans, war widows, wounded and invalid servicemen and women. He has also helped schools and children's charities such as MenCap, in campaigning and highlighting issues, and even in one case when he donated a vintage bottle of wine to help raise funds. The bottle was unique in that it was the last bottle remaining after the Nazis had plundered the cellars of families living in an Italian Abruzzo village in World War II. The author's uncle was a Canadian tank commander whose tank was the first to liberate the village, and was also the first tank to enter Ortona in the Battle of Ortona. The bottle was given to the author, as he lived in Abruzzo and his research work had taken to that area. Halpenny said on donating the bottle, "Because the bottle is unique, it seemed a waste to just drink it without using it to gain some benefit for others." He has also long campaigned for the government to do their part and preserve a 1939-45 war airfield in its original condition, to let future generations see how the RAF operated during those dark days. If something isn't done to preserve one of them soon, we'll get to the silly situation where one is built from scratch as a memorial to the RAF's effort in the last war. Bruce Barrymore Halpenny. He has also long been a supporter for animal welfare, especially dogs and wolves, and is the president of the Wolf Preservation Foundation. Family. Bruce and his wife, equestrian rider and horsewoman, Marion Rose Halpenny, have a son, Baron Barrymore Halpenny, a commercial artist.
Please subscribe and thanks for watching.